Hey, what's up everybody? Adobe Masters here, and today I'm going to be showing you how to create scrolling credits in Adobe Premiere Pro. Now, this is kind of important because with the new update and the new text tool, the entire workflow of how to do this in Premiere Pro actually changed. You used to be able to hit like the scroll button within the title sort of creation thing, and you could do it from there. But now you actually have to use some keyframes to get it working, and it's a little bit closer to how you might get it to work in After Effects. So let's go over that, and yeah, let me show you what I'm talking about right here. This is going to be the final product. It's just some, scrolling names like at the end of a movie. You can edit this, you can change it around, make it your own, but this is the basics of the effect right here. It's just some names scrolling up like so. Basically a text document scrolling from bottom to top. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and create myself a new composition or sequence because we're in Premiere Pro. Create a new sequence, and now you can see we have an empty sequence right here. And then the next thing we have to do is basically just go straight to the text tool because the background is usually black for these. If you want to change the background, be my guest, change it to whatever you want. But what we really need to do is go to the text tool. Now, I am in the graphics workspace right now. So you can see that it has the essential graphics over here, but the reason I'm in this is because the text tool is actually treated as a graphics layer. So being in the graphics panel kind of optimizes your workflow. And the next thing we need to do is actually change this zoom to about 10%, or maybe even, to start it off with just maybe like 25%. You want a little bit of area around the edges. Then we're going to click up here, and we're just going to drag out ourselves a nice text box like so. We can center that a little bit later, but basically now what we want to do is actually let's redo that so it is centered, at least a little bit better than that. That looks good right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in some text, and you'll see that it's going to start off typing it on the left side. So if we're in the essential graphics, on the right over here you can see where I can edit things. Now this is slightly different than the editing over here, and that's because this is more for creating the look. So there's not going to be keyframes or anything over here. It's just going to be really quick access to changing things like color and style, while over here we can actually animate it. So what we want to do is we want to go to right here and hit center text. And then this way we can start entering in names. So like, you can do something like starring, and then click enter to go to the next line. Adobe Masters. Oh, I'm not good at typing today. And then, just a bunch of different names. I actually have some names here on Control V that I can enter in. And you see that it cuts them off at the bottom. And that's because our text document isn't big enough. So what we want to do is we want to click on this, extend it downward, and it's going to only extend down to the bottom of the screen. So if we zoom out even farther, we can extend it down. And then what we want to do is go over here to the left and do effect control. So make sure that you are selected on the text layer right here. Go over to effect controls and then down to text, and it'll have like all of it in this parentheses right here. That's the one you want to go to. Scroll down a little bit, and then in the transform, we want to scroll this up some. And you can see that it scrolls it through. We do not want to touch up here because this is the layer itself. So if we scroll this, it'll move the entirety of this, and you'll start getting clipping. Like if I show you here, you'll see that it clips right at the bottom here. That's because we're moving the view of it. What we want to do is move the text itself. So we don't want to touch up here in motion. We want to go into the text, go down into the transform tool right here. And then you can keep scrolling. And what's really neat is Premiere just added this, and you see how it keeps going over like that? How it bounces off the side of the screen now, and it goes over and over and over. That is so cool, because before you had to click, drag, click, drag, click, drag. Now it just goes infinitely. Just a little feature that they just added recently. I thought you guys might enjoy. But you can see that it actually pasted all of the stuff that I meant to paste. So all you have to do is just keep making it bigger. Now, once you get to the bottom, if you want it to be longer again, just scroll back up to where it's in view again, click, and drag it out once again. And then, go back into the text tool, and now we can start adding more names. This is a name to go here. Just like so, keep adding the names, doing the stuff, the formatting you want. Now then, let's get this actually animated. So what we want to do is we want to go to the beginning of this clip right here. So at 0 seconds, we want to zero the position out, and you'll see that it cuts off maybe a little bit more than we wanted to, so we can actually bring this down a little bit. And actually, I'm going to start it off screen. So we're going to bring it down until there's nothing on the screen right here. Then we're going to scroll to where we want it to end. So maybe it's about 30 seconds feels right. And we're going to have to change this depending on if we like the speed of it or not. go back to the starting, and then now we're going to go to that position marker under the transform. We're going to click this little toggle animation button here. It basically is going to add a keyframe, and now we can actually create motion, and it'll create motion over time. So what it's doing is it's locking the position here. Then now once we go to the end, we just scroll this up till it is at the end, or my bad, scroll it backwards until the credits are completely finished right there. And just like that, you have some beautiful credits. Now these are painfully slow, so what we can do is just Control Z to delete that keyframe, move this back to maybe like 12 seconds, and do the exact same thing. Just scroll it to where we want to, where it ends, right there, and then watch it again. And there we go. That looks a lot better speed. And then we can just go back to fit window, and we can see the beautiful work we've done. Now you notice it's a little bit on the left here. And the reason for that is basically just because I didn't center it perfectly, even though I was trying earlier. So we can fix that as well. So if we go into here, we can actually look, and you can see that moving it to right about there would be fine. But you'll notice something happens. You see that it goes from left to right, and that's because we have the keyframe active, which means any changes we make, it's going to record. So this is where things like this get a little tedious, but you have to remember that this is just part of when you use keyframes, is that if we want to change both these values, we need to go and change both the keyframe at the beginning and the end so that it doesn't try to drift from one to the other. So we can delete this keyframe. Understand, go to the part where, so you can figure out like what you like. So maybe a position of, I like 166.4. So now we're going to go highlight these two keyframes, click the delete key, and then we're going to go to the very beginning of the footage where this keyframe is, and we're going to go to the 166 here, and then we're going to go to the very end of the footage where this other keyframe is, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Where did the transform go? Right here. We're going to also make sure they're lined up right there, 166 as well. And then now it should be centered perfectly and beautifully over it. That is basically it for this tutorial. So that, remember, just create yourself a text layer, and then all you have to do is create the text, zoom it out so you can keep expanding it downward, and then go into the effect controls here. Whoops. Effect controls, go down to the transform, click on the stopwatch to animate it, to make it keep going up. And that is it. That is how you get the effect to work in the new Premiere Pro with the text tool instead of having to use the title tool. Thanks everyone for joining me for this tutorial. If you guys want to see more tutorials similar to this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I post a video every other day. If you got any questions or comments or anything like that, throw those in the comment section below and I'll be sure to answer them. If you got some suggestions for future tutorials, throw those in the comments below or message me as well, and I'd love to get to some of them. Thanks everyone, and until next time, see ya.